A static file on your hard drive is frozen. It only becomes useful when it bursts into aggressive, continuous motion. A program is nothing more than that static file. It is dormant code sitting passively on a disk, doing absolutely nothing. A process is that exact same program in active execution. It is a dynamic, living entity consuming system resources. This diagram shows a program loading into RAM to become a process. It forms 4 distinct memory segments: a stack, a heap, data, and code. To manage this structure, the system requires an active program counter, CPU registers, and the creation of a process control block. A process control block, or PCB, stores essential tracking information about a running process. As you track the stack's downward boundary and the heap's upward boundary, you see how this structure claims physical hardware space. It's highly organized, but intensely greedy for capacity. Because a process is a dynamic entity eating up finite physical memory, it cannot be left to govern itself. It requires constant, ruthless management by the operating system to function. The primary hardware bottleneck of any computer is the processor itself, specifically a single CPU core. The absolute rule of execution is that a CPU core can compute only one single process at any exact microsecond in time. This creates an immediate conflict. We expect our computers to run dozens of applications simultaneously, like playing high-quality audio, downloading large files, and rendering video all at once. The operating system solves this by dictating access to the hardware. It forces every process to move through a rigidly defined life cycle, controlling exactly when a program gets to execute and when it has to wait. To understand how modern computers achieve the illusion of seamless multitasking, we have to build this precise operating system state machine from the ground up, constraint by constraint. This node graph illustrates the foundation of the process lifecycle. It begins with the new, or created, state. Here, the operating system allocates resources and generates the PCB, but the process is absolutely not yet executing. Almost immediately, the process transitions along this arrow into the ready state. Processes in the ready state are fully prepared to run. They have the memory they need, and they simply wait in a queue for their turn on the CPU. The mechanism deciding which process goes next is the CPU scheduler. The CPU scheduler is an operating system component that allocates processor time to different processes based on specific efficiency algorithms. The CPU scheduler selects a process and moves it from the ready queue into the running state. This brings us back to our strict hardware rule. Only one process can occupy the running state per CPU core at any time. Once the process finishes its instructions successfully, it transitions to the terminated or exit state. The operating system dissolves the process and releases all memory back to the machine. This linear 4-state sequence represents an ideal path of execution. However, it is a fantasy. This simple model fails the moment a process needs to interact with the outside world. The first major hardware complication to that ideal path is an input-output, or I/O, request. This happens anytime a process needs to read a hard drive, download a file, or simply wait for a user to press a key. There is a massive speed disparity inside the computer. The CPU executes billions of instructions per second, while mechanical and physical I/O operations are thousands of times slower. If a process in the running state simply stops and waits for a slow disk read to finish, it holds the CPU hostage. The entire computer freezes. Looking back at our graph, the operating system solves this by branching downward from the running node to create a 5th state, the waiting or blocked state. The moment a running process requests I/O, the operating system immediately kicks it off the CPU. It is forced down into the waiting state. The immediate benefit is efficiency. Because the CPU is vacant, the scheduler can instantly pull a different process out of the ready queue and drop it into the running state. No computing power is wasted. A process in the waiting state is trapped. It cannot execute any further code until its specific I/O event completes. When that slow I/O task finally finishes, the process does not get to bypass the rules. It cannot jump directly back onto the CPU. Instead, the process transitions from the waiting state back up to the ready state, where it must rejoin the queue and wait in line again. The waiting state acts as a vital buffer. It prevents slow physical hardware from bottlenecking the CPU, enabling true asynchronous multitasking. This brings us to the second, much more severe hardware constraint: finite physical memory, or RAM. Imagine a peak load scenario. A user opens dozens of heavy applications at once, filling the main memory entirely with processes sitting in the ready and waiting states. The operating system cannot crash or refuse to function. It must clear RAM space immediately to keep the system moving. This diagram illustrates the solution: swapping. Swapping is the procedure of moving idle or blocked processes out of physical RAM and storing them temporarily on a secondary storage drive. To track these exiled processes, the operating system creates a sixth state in the disk zone called ready suspended. If RAM is full, the OS forcibly extracts a process from the ready queue and moves it down to ready suspended. The process is fully prepared to run, but it is trapped on the hard disk. For processes that were already waiting for I/O when the RAM ran out, the system uses a seventh state, waiting suspended. A process dropped into waiting suspended suffers a double waiting penalty. It is stuck waiting for its I/O event to finish, and it is waiting to be moved back into physical memory. If the I/O event completes while the process is still swapped out on the drive, it moves horizontally from waiting suspended over to ready suspended. The hardware event is finished. The process is now only waiting for available memory space to open up in RAM. Once space finally clears in the main memory, the process is swapped back up from ready suspended and placed securely into the main ready queue. These advanced suspended states allow the operating system to cheat the physical limits of RAM. By using the hard drive as an emergency overflow, the system prevents total collapse under heavy load. This completed diagram displays the full 7-state process lifecycle. With all nodes and transition rules visible, we can see the true architecture the operating system manages. We can break this complexity down by isolating 3 distinct resource loops. First is the main CPU loop between ready and running, where raw processing power is allocated and shared. Second is the I/O loop. This triangular path from running to waiting to ready bridges the immense speed gap between the CPU and physical hardware devices. Finally, the memory swap loops at the bottom cross the boundary between main memory and the disk, acting as the critical RAM preservation mechanism. A process does not simply sit in one state. In a working computer, processes are constantly cycling through this graph thousands of times every second. The applications running on your machine have absolutely no control over this movement. Every transition is strictly governed by the operating system. This 7-state process lifecycle is the invisible mechanical choreography running underneath your screen. It guarantees efficient memory usage, prevents system lockups, and provides the modern illusion that a single computer can do everything at once.